Here are some big news for several Democratic lawmakers. The lawmakers in Congress have officially teamed up.
Remember when General Motors, Mary Barra, was suing California because of the higher standard, mileage standard? I talked to her. I'm not saying she changed because of me. I talked to her.
To propose giving Social Security beneficiaries an extra $200 per month during this crisis. The plan was officially put forward by Senate Democrat Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, and Ron Wyden. The extra income would apply to all Social Security, veterans, and SSI or SSI beneficiaries. The bonus money would continue through this year, adding up to an extra $4,000. In an official statement, Warren said, increasing Social Security benefits is the quickest way to get money out the door during this time. The idea of boosting Social Security benefits by $200 per month has been widely supported by multiple lawmakers from both parties. But senators did not explain how they would offset the cost of the increased benefits in their plan. The proposal is part of Senate Democrats' plan that calls for at least $750 billion to help fight the crisis and the effects it is having on the economy. The move comes as some people fear that many Social Security beneficiaries could be left out of the proposed bonus checks from the government. Now, Mitch McConnell recently put forward a proposal that included Social Security income. However, because the plan uses income from 2018 tax returns as a qualifier, this means it could leave out those who didn't file with the IRS because their income is too low. So according to the Senate Democrats, the additional $200 a month would help millions of people and millions of people across the nation. Having extra money in their Social Security checks can help individuals slave off extra healthcare expenses that they may face, or even help offset added cost of hiring help with grocery shopping. President Biden also proposed a new tax plan. If his plan is enacted into law, people who earn more than $400,000 would be enacted to the 3.8% Medicare tax. Biden has called for applying Social Security payroll taxes to those making $400,000 and up. This year, wages up to $142,000 are subject to that tax. And everybody, the second round of Social Security checks reflecting for the new 5.9% COLA went out this month, and recipients are now waiting on the third stimulus check. The COLA increase was the largest in nearly 40 years for those who qualify for the adjustment, and it cannot come at a more welcome time. U.S. inflation now sits at a whopping 7.5%, and it's only expected to keep rising as the crisis and supply chain issues rage on. Folks, that's the breaking news about the fourth stimulus payments that I want you to know. If you have any questions on this, leave them in the comments.
Around the America Competes Act, another extraordinarily important piece of legislation that the House Democratic majority is going to pass this week. The America Competes Act will invest in the creation of millions of good-paying jobs all across America. It will invest in research and development, invest in our national security interests, invest in making sure America can continue to lead the technology and innovation economy. And at the same time, it will deal with some of the inflationary dynamics that we are endeavoring to confront on behalf of the American people. Once again, when we pass the America Competes Act, it will make clear that Democrats deliver for the people. It's now my honor to yield to our distinguished Vice Chair of the House Democratic Caucus, Pete Aguilar.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to extend on behalf of the Chair and our colleagues up here our thoughts and our prayers with Senator Ben Ray Lujan. We like to say that Senator Lujan is on loan to the Senate, but he is a House person, and we wish him the best. And we know that he will pull through and do well here, and look forward to seeing his smiling face around these parts. This week, on the heels of the fastest economic growth in 4 decades, we continued our efforts to support the post-pandemic economy that works for the middle class and strengthens productivity and industry and makes life easier for working families. Our DPCC co-chairs are going to talk through what events House Democrats have held across this country to support the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. In my district, I had a roundtable last week with local city officials and mayors. I'm a former mayor, and I know that all of my former colleagues back home are interested and invested themselves in the success of this bill. I heard loud and clear their support for the bill, but I also heard them reiterate their support for the American Rescue Plan, which benefited local communities, funding for schools and local governments and our small businesses. This week we'll continue to strengthen our supply chain, as the chairman said, and our economy, making this country more competitive with the Competes Act. And no amount of obstruction from the Republican Party can stop us or diminish the steps that we've taken to bring our economy back from the brink and create more than 6 million jobs since President Biden was sworn in. It's my pleasure to introduce DPCC co-chair from Southern California, my colleague Ted Lieu.
Thank you, Chair Jeffries and Vice Chair Aguilar, for your leadership. Democrats are delivering for the people. We've had the fastest economic growth in nearly 4 decades, the lowest unemployment rate in 5 decades, and with 6 million jobs created since January 20th, President Biden and Democrats have achieved the fastest job growth in U.S. history in 1 year. Growth is up, wages are up, unemployment is down, and this is just the beginning. The infrastructure law is going to result in millions of more good-paying jobs, union jobs, jobs that cannot be outsourced. Democrats embarked on a challenge to do over 1,000 infrastructure events. We announced this last November to have that done by the end of January. We're very pleased that our caucus did over 1,200 events as of yesterday, 1,271 to be exact. That's over 1,200 reminders that Democrats are fighting for the people by fixing roads, bridges, highways, ports, and airports, by getting broadband everywhere, from rural areas to inner cities and everywhere in between, taking lead out of our pipes, and making sure that we continue to grow our economy. It's also over 1,000 reminders that 200 Republicans voted against fixing roads, bridges, and highways, and these good-paying union jobs. Now I'd like to turn over to Representative Dingo, who's going to talk a little bit more about these infrastructure events.
So, good morning, everybody. As we said, we did 1,271, and we're still counting. We got more events, and we're going to keep them coming because we need to tell the story. The more we talk about what we do, the more people know how we're delivering for them. So, these events underscore just how important the infrastructure investments are for local communities and local economies across the country. People don't know what we've done, and we are making sure that they know. We need to have you help us make sure they know what we are doing. So Rick Larson